This is the voice of freedom. This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced. Well, evening, folks. Welcome to the Friday Night Free For All. Feeling a lot better. Thank you to everybody who's sent me emails and text messages and voicemails and everything that you've left me. Thank you. And for all the suggestions, can I tell you, I've had a whole heap of suggestions to settle the tummy. And I've got to say, a couple of them have been absolutely outstanding. Corn flour, bit of water, and a bit of sugar or something else to try and sweeten it up a bit. That was pretty good. Settled the stomach well for as long as it stayed in there. So thanks for all the suggestions, and thank you to everybody who sent such lovely well wishes. So back again home tonight for another Friday Night Free For All. Tonight joined by Red Pill Glenn, Patriot101. The Guru is going to step in and join us too. And interestingly, we're going to be joined again by Fitzroy Sterling. Now, tonight, we're going to have a conversation about Magna Cartas, Magna Carta 1215, Magna Carta 1297. It's not going to be a huge, great, long conversation. Where Friday nights is a bit of fun, so we don't go and take ourselves too seriously. You know how that works. And we've also got, some interesting things to show you. So I think without further ado, without waiting any longer, let's introduce the team. Good evening, Glenn, Patriot101. How are you, mate?
Good evening, Carl. Really good, thank you. Yourself?
Nice to have you on board. Yeah,
thank you.
Upright, mobile, and walking around, which is better than I've been for about the last 3.5 days. Guru, welcome back. Home among the boaties again.
That's it. Yeah. Get a bit of swell going actually tonight, Carl. It's actually it's rocking a little bit tonight, and I've got some
race cars happening.
I got some lunatics down at the boat harbour at Wollongong. Hey guys, down the local police station, you watch all my shows, you're probably watching this. Come down, shut them up while I'm doing live streams. Do me a favour, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, how can the police not hear that they're doing burnouts out in front of your place? And what are the chances of one of them getting it wrong and winding up in the drink? Is that a possibility? Can we set a camera up outside, maybe catch that?
Just look out the window and see it's not a patrol car doing it.
Yeah. No, that's a big possibility.
Glenn.
Yeah, one of these idiots.
Microphones are wonderful things. Microphones are wonderful things. You don't have to eat them, my friend.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not used to it being so close to me here, Carl. I had it back there somewhere before, but yes.
Yeah, bloody rock stars. I know how it goes. Speaking of rock stars, we've left him out so far. He has no face, but he has the voice that just moves people. Is that the way we talk about Fitz? Fitzroy Sterling, good evening on your Friday night. Thanks for giving up some time, mate.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, boys. Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy just to be a passenger, and when you need me, just call on me, and I'll jump in.
Awesome.
Well, I think Guru's got the first question of the night for you. I think he's more than interested in finding out a bit more about you, as a lot of people I'm sure are. I get asked a lot of this same question. So while we say hello to everybody who's joining us tonight, and there's a few people already online watching, if you've got any questions, by all means, put them in. I haven't set up admins yet, so I'll just try and keep an eye on the questions and the porn, and try and block the porn as it comes through, and some of the trolls. So, Guru, away with your first question to Fitz tonight.
Fitz, before we go much further and get into a show, I need to know what you drink, mate. What's your coffee brew?
When you say drink, do you mean like alcohol? What do you
No, coffee. No, your morning coffee. I need to know whether it's one of those tiny little piccolo things. You know what I mean? I really need to know.
Oh, I don't
drink
actually
those little puffy things. Still, Fitz, do you drink them? I need an honest answer, bud.
I actually can't stand the flavor of coffee, so it's an outright no.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. Okay.
So I'm going to be a little bit dull by the sound of it. I'm not going to have any fun answers at the moment. So you have to come up with some different questions.
No, well, one of the questions would be, let's get serious straight away, you know, and have been a bit of a hit, but, you know, like we've got all these things going on, you know, we've got Phil above me here, you know, I got Bruce Paulson, we got Brian Shaw, we got our mate Spiro, we got other people, we got Cole doing it with the teachers, right? We got so heaps of people, right? We've got stuff that's been proven to work. Okay, so I put a call out to Malcolm Roberts tonight on the show. I had a bit of a guru rant and just called him out and said, you know, we're going to hashtag him Malcolm Meet Guru, because we think we've got enough ammo for these guys to actually walk in and just shut this thing down. And that's what they should be doing, Sterling. So, yeah, my question to you is, with your 12-15 in combination with other things, you know, if we got someone like Malcolm Roberts and a bit of a push in the parliament, can we go in and, because we've got the power in the sovereignty and we got the power in the documents. We need the power in, you know, all we're getting at the moment is this, ignored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So can we make that next push through and use what we've all got out there and actually put a stop to this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, the whole way reality is shaped is by what the majority does. So the majority right now is sold on a lie. And so our actual reality is based on that lie, which means pain, suffering, and slavery. So as soon as the majority shifts over to the truth, those politicians will cease to exist as we know them. We actually won't have criminals in Parliament. We'll actually have people who are there from an honourable position to serve. See, one of the things they do is they actually give you a mind trick, and they say, when we get into power, well, it's not a job where you have any power. It's a job of service. That's how badly the whole truth has been contorted. The average Joe believes they elect someone to power. That's an outright lie.
That's correct.
We actually elect people into our service. And so there's got to be a massive shift in how people understand something. They've been programming us in the most subtlest of ways, and we don't even know that we're actually repeating the programming. And when I say we, I don't mean who's here tonight. I'm talking about the general public on the mass scale. You know, they speak in ways that they're not even aware that they're being controlled with their own words.
Yep.
It's too true.
That's
We
correct.
do programs on it there.
Yep.
So the 12-15 is all about bringing people back into their natural state of self-governance, because what it does is it actually enshrines the mechanism by which self-governance is what's the word I'm after, is possible. And so they had to hide that information, because the way you control a society is you take out the central knowledge they require to stand in their true divine capacity. And once you remove it, then there's a power vacuum. Or when I say power vacuum, I mean a knowledge vacuum, because we're naturally curious. So if we don't have knowledge that's verifiable, what we do is we start going into belief. And when we go into belief, there's nothing verifiable there, right? But guess who gives us the belief? Those who remove the knowledge. They manufacture it.
That's right.
How do you get so many people on a mass scale believing the same thing that can only be manufactured? And
And my question is, how can we have so many things that we know are working? We know that in different ways, you know, I can go to 73, 88, you know what I mean, the referendum 99, back to 1901, back to the Magna Carta 87 or the 12-15. We can go to so many places, but guess what? We're not doing anything with it, you know, and I really think that we have the power. We just need, you know, if we'd have got Bosie in the door, which was never going to happen, you know what I mean? They were never going to let him in. This stuff will be happening now, because Bosie would have been walking in with an armful of them, just going bang, bang, bang every day. You know,
Well, the problem I think the problem you got, Guru, is where do you process them when the whole system's corrupt, down to the law enforcement, down to the courts? Where do you process these people?
You would actually, if you were in there, I would walk through the system. You know what I mean? I'd have my security team and I would walk them through the system as the system needed to be walked to get them where I needed to get them, to stick them in someone's face and go fix the frigging thing.
Yeah. Well, they need to be arrested. End of story. They're all criminals. They're a cartel.
Well, that can go down bad.
So if I can just jump in really quickly, under the 12-15, what would actually happen, there's an article in there, which is the People's Restoration and Security Clause. What would actually happen is the people would lobby the police, because they're meant to be constables, not police officers. Correct. And they'd lobby them en masse. So we're talking about their family members talking to them, right? So it's penetrating their conscience, and now they have a choice. The choice is they act out of conscience, or they do what they've been doing up until now and face the wrath of the people, right? So they're faced with an actual outright choice now, because you can't hide it from the masses. You can hide it from people like us, the small number, but when it gets out in the masses, it's not hideable. And then they get to choose, well, am I going to listen to my boss, right? So I can get my paycheck? Or if my head's in the noose, which one am I going to do? So when the mass people start talking to them, mate, you know what you're facing? You're facing the very people that you've been committing these crimes against. Now, you've got two choices here. You can actually stand under your oath of office of constable and be a constable, and you might get some clemency. We can't guarantee it, but at least you've got a chance. But this way, you keep going, you've got nothing but death penalty, mate. That's what you're waiting for you. When we all start speaking to them like that, you watch how fast it changes, mate.
Yeah.
But there's only one way that we can prosecute it, and that is the actual law that's written, that's been waiting for us to pick up and use. It doesn't exist in the 1901. It doesn't exist in the 1297. It only exists in the 1215. And if we don't use it, we've got no legitimacy.
Gotcha. Yep.
All right. So who do we need? Who do we need to enforce this thing then, Fitz? Okay, because I can see I'm looking at the comments and that here. So I'm looking at what people are saying, and that's again. Well, okay. We've got it. Fitz has got the starting point. Okay, well, the starting point is 1215. Okay, so how do we now go out and make someone like Malcolm Roberts enforce 1215? If that's the one, if it's Spiro's document that's going to work in the Parliament, will we use Spiro's document? If Brian Shaw's document's going to work, we use Brian. I didn't give a rat's ass whose document we use. What we're going to do is stop these guys.
Well, can I say that maybe that what we have to do is we have to both email and mail them the evidence and give them 3 days to rebut it.
So what you're saying, Glenn, is very, very close. The evidence comes from what's actually law, not legal. So we want to make sure we're not confusing the two.
Absolutely.
So if we're actually sending stuff in that's from the legal system, the legal system is a euphemism for an ancient superstition. That's all it is. That's right.
Yeah.
Because what the legal system does is it gets elements that exist in nature and it inverts it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And so if we use that, we're not using the law. We're using a mind construct. So we use evidence that's based in things that are routed in law.
That's right.
Not a fiction. So that's why when you use the 1215, you're using things that are actually routed in law, because to understand what a constitution is, you need to understand what government is, right? And so first we go back to things that exist in nature. And it doesn't exist in nature that one man has authority over another man.
No, that's correct.
Exist. Government goes back to the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth is us. The Commonwealth.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
So if it doesn't exist in nature, how can authority be granted to somebody who doesn't have it naturally?
Correct.
There has to be a set of conditions that they need to adhere to, right? So if government is just a decision-making body on behalf of the people, there needs to be a set of consequences set out for them if they breach the grant of authority that the people give them.
What about the fact
Constitution is?
Sorry, what about the fact that they are a foreign invested corporation?
That's they were never given the authority to do that, right? So that's outright treason, right there.
That's outright treason. So that's where we've got to stop it, is right there on the fraud.
Exactly.
You know, that's where it is. They're a foreign invested corporation, and in order for them to do business on Australian shores, they need their ASIC 418, number one.
Yeah,
and then in order to, they claim us to be vessels. Obviously, they call us vessels or ships. But even if that was the case, which it's not, in order for them to do business with us, being a corporation, they cannot do business with us unless they had a bonding agreement.
Okay, yeah, but the problem is the majority of us is contracted with them and we're in there. Okay, the majority of us. So now we've got a few people here that need to be able to break into the system and pull some things apart so that we can drain the whole lot, everybody out of the system, you know, and that's what we've got to do. How do we do it? We've been talking about it. We're supposed to have the power. I believe I've got the power, but I haven't got the power of one. You know what I mean? Now, if we go out with sheriffs and we start, you know, trying to arrest people and things like that, I don't think that's going to look real good, because I think that, you know, from what I saw of some people that were up in Darwin, if anyone's seen the video, Glenn, you probably would have. But them guys were all black, mate, masked up. You know what I mean? We ain't dealing. These had no soul. Okay, we ain't dealing with the normal person here. Now, if we were to maybe go in and say, oh, we're going to arrest you, and we got a sheriff there and he's got, you know, his six-pack or whatever, and I'm telling you, these guys will just shoot you. Okay, so we're in this predicament that, you know, we can't go in heavy-handed. We can't do this. We can't do that. We've got, you know, what are we doing? Are we putting a call out for 5 million people and we spread them all out around the country, do we? At Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Brisbane. You know what I mean? Launceston or Hobart, you know, and on one day, you know, we just get our 8 million freedom fighters to group up in different places and shut. How do we do that? How do we do it? Everyone wants an answer.
Well, see, the thing is, so you go, Fitz. You go. Sure? You're right. Yeah, mate.
So the Article 61 being the lawful restoration process, it actually states in there that if the Crown breaches its limits, that we, the people, are commanded to seize all the Crown assets.
Yes,
because they're ours.
That's correct.
So what that means is we retake our buildings, right? So we retake anything that's a public building. So any government department is ours. But before we do that, we first need to take an oath. We first need to take an oath, and that is that we're standing under the law. So that's like a proof that we stand under the actual law that the people agreed to live under.
Is that the Peter Joseph Hum sort of?
No, it's the actual oath to the actual 1215 Magna Carta, because that's the Constitution. So a Constitution is basically the highest code of conduct agreed to live under. The people agreed to live under. That now shows where power resides when it's observed, and power resides with the people, because the way the people control government is through trial by jury. So what happens in trial by jury is that there's 3 parts to it. So you have, the way it works is that government legislation, if someone is brought or is in breach of government legislation, they are brought into a court of the jury of the people, not these fake ones. So there's no judge in there. There's only a convener, and the convener's role is just to assemble a jury and then instruct them in matters of law. They cannot decide on anything that's admissible in court. That's all the jury. The penalty, the sentence is all jury, right? And there's 12 of them. Now, when the jury is in session, what they're looking for is what's called premeditated intent, right? So they're looking for malicious intent, not so much that the accused has breached any legislation, but was there an intent to cause harm or loss to anyone? Now, if we think about how many things you get dragged in front of these fake courts for, there's no victim. It doesn't exist. Right? Yeah, that's right. So if they can't prove that there was any intention to harm any other individual, it's not a crime. If it's not a crime, it's a not guilty verdict. As soon as it's a not guilty verdict, they are oath bound. The jury is oath bound to strike off that legislation. That's the second part, right? So there's 3 tiers to it. First one is the trial to decide what's guilty. Is it the individual or is it the legislation? That's part 1. Part 2 is the annulment, which is called annulment by jury, where they strike it off the statute books. Here's part 3, right? This is why they don't want you to know this. Part 3 is common law private prosecution, right? So what that means is that any member of parliament whose name was on the bill that then became that piece of legislation that was deemed unjust by the jury can now be privately prosecuted in their private capacity as a man or woman, not a fictional legal title, but a man with a conscience, or a female with a conscience, for free, by any member of the public.
Wow.
That's what we don't know, and there's a reason why we don't know that. Because the whole system goes down the toilet in a flash. Because you think now what they're facing is full asset stripping, minimum life in prison if it's sedition. If it's treason, it's hanging and full asset stripping, right? So now you think about what's the whole system they run. It's all to hand their freaking their wealth down to their bloodlines, right? They ain't going to have any wealth to hand down to anyone.
That's exactly right.
Is the shame. That's all they're going to hand down is the shame of what they've done. Now, who do you think is going to be attracted to that position if that's actually in place? Is it going to be the psychopaths?
No.
Or is it going to be vulnerable people? That's what people don't know. It's for free, guys. Justice is not about paying. It's free and it's open to anyone to witness. Justice must be seen to be done. Well, that's not enshrined anywhere other than in the 1215, guys.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
No, it ain't being seen. It ain't being seen to be done.
If we don't use it, we lose it, guys. We need to use it, otherwise we lose it.
All right. So how do we use it? Come on. How do we use it? What do we go and do?
Let me answer it. We take the oath, right? There's an oath. We did a show on Wednesday, guys. It's there up for everyone. We did it about APRA. You take the oath, and then there's a lawful notice process, right? There's 5 parts to it. The first 3 are shoring up your defense. So if there's anyone coming after you for any fines, if it's rates, if it's like a penalty, anything like that, the first 3 notices are shoring up your defense. So you've got conditional acceptance, opportunity to cure, or it's default and opportunity to cure, notice of default. After that, you can send in what's called a common law tort, right? So you can send that in after default, and then you go into offense, which is notice of coercion to aid and abet high treason, and notices to stop. And in a notice to stop, you're speaking about how you have the lawful authority to arrest anyone who's still making demands on you after it's been proven that they have not rebutted any points of law that you've set in. Because the whole system is, if you don't rebut what's on any notice, it stands as law now. And so you're sending all the evidence of all the crimes that they've committed, right? And they won't rebut it. They just can't, because they've been in sedition if they did. No, it hasn't.
Many people have done this.
No, what you're talking about, Guru, it's not. You're talking about the legal system. This is lawful. It's different. You haven't seen the notices yet, Guru, so you can't say it's been done.
All right, fair point. I'll stand corrected there, and until I see. But okay, so you're telling me we've got the secret weapon. So how do we implement the secret weapon?
We all start getting behind it and using it. This is all about numbers, right? As soon as the people start getting behind it and use it, the job is done. When they start getting the quantity of mail that's telling them the crimes they're committed, right, they're going to be in a panic in ways we've never seen before. The only reason they're still doing what they're doing is because enough people don't understand the truth. And when the truth comes out, they're going to panic because they can't hide from the law, right? What they've given us is the legal system. That 1901 Commonwealth Constitution of Australia is a legal document. It's not a constitution, because the government cannot write, Parliament cannot write a constitution. Only the people can. And Parliament wrote that constitution. And if you read that constitution, it gives power of the judiciary to Parliament, right? So who has the power to punish? Parliament. Who has the power to own the police? Parliament. Well, that's not a constitutional system. That's a freaking dictatorship.
Let's go take it off them. Let's go take it off them.
Well, that's what needs to happen. The people's consciousness needs to elevate to understand their true power and where it stands, and then they need to have the courage to act on it. That's all we're missing. It's simple as that. The knowledge is one part of it. The next part is the action.
Mate, on boots on the ground. I don't care. Let's do this shit.
So it just requires people to catch up.
We need numbers. Okay, we've got numbers. Okay, I suspect that, we could have up to probably maybe, 8 million people that would be on our side at the moment, maybe 3/4 of the population. That's going to 24,000. That's leaving out a lot of the youth and that, because we're about 27.5 or something. So, somewhere around there.
So,
yeah, we may have something like that. Now, our problem is, my big problem is growing all the time, the same as Carl growing all the time, but we're still not having that reach that we need to get out, because we're getting hammered all the time. Our channel's taken off, it slows us down, so even the awakening side of it, we need to be utilising this stuff. Now, I've been saying to my viewers, we're grouping up, we're getting communities built, we're getting ready for stuff. You're right. Okay, so we're getting ready for stuff that's coming. Okay, and we're trying to make sure people in each community know somebody else, and then they're starting to know other people. So when this does come down, because we know even if we win it, guys, and we kick them out, it doesn't matter whether we're controlling our little bit or not. With our people, they're going to be coming at us still. All right, because they don't give up. So it's going to be a while before we clean them all out. Okay, so we've still got this problem. And this is where I really like the 2 council amalgamation thing, is where we continue to vote people onto the local council that we can believe in, like Bosie, for instance, or whatever else. You know what I mean? You got a good guy, you try and get him on the council, and we build these other councils like they're talking about in Victoria beside it. And then when the chance comes that we've got a couple of people in here and we get to overturn from this side, we've actually got people there that we can mesh with that are already in those buildings that we're taking over, but we put them in there. So they're good guys causing trouble. We're out here with the other council ready to go. And as this house of cards comes down, we just mesh in and take over. That's what I'd like to happen. But how do we make it happen?
Right. So I reckon I've been pretty quiet for 25 minutes, so I'm going to have a go.
Yes, you'll go.
You've been the quietest I've ever seen you, Carl.
Well,
give it to us. Let's have it.
Got to pause for breath, and I like listening occasionally, Guru. It's amazing what you learn. There's a lot of people in chat asking us to start at the beginning and explain everything. We're not doing that tonight, folks. If you want to start at the beginning and you want to learn what it is we're talking about, then you go back to the Nun2K website on YouTube, NUNN2K, and go to the Magna Carta Learning Center. And start at lesson number 1. There are 13 lessons in there, and it explains everything to you. So that, I think, equates to something like 15 or 16 hours worth of education. We can't bring you up to speed in this conversation tonight. So please stop asking to explain the legitimacy of Magna Cartas like Jimmy is doing here. Jimmy, it's all explained in those videos. Go and look out for it yourself, but take our word for it. Go and find out yourself, or just take our word for it. One of the two. Magna only gives rights to noble blood, Fitz. So I thought I'd put this one up because I want you to address this directly.
We all are noble.
Yeah.
So, okay, now
noble is bullshit. Sovereign is everything.
Okay, I need to explain what rights are, right? Rights are the capacity to live in peaceful, harmonious coexistence. So any action that is in alignment with keeping the peace is a right. So how can now only certain people get that? And if you're granting a right to someone, it's not a right. It's a privilege. It's just a word that's masked. So that whole statement doesn't even make any sense, right? Rights can't be granted to you. They exist. They're inherent in nature, but they can be taken from you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so if you say that someone can grant you rights, what you're saying is that someone's your master. So if that's what you believe, then you're of no help to anyone. So it's about understanding who you are, right? You have a spirit or a soul, whichever way you want to look at it. And in the spiritual domain, there is no domination. So if there's no domination in the spiritual domain, why does there have to be domination when your spirit incarnates into a physical body? Why?
Correct.
That can only be created. Those conditions can only be created. They don't exist inherent in nature. And the only way that can be created is if you allow it to be created. You can grant authority to it or not. So if you believe someone grants you rights, then yes, you will be a good slave.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe that someone can grant you rights, that they are inherent in nature, you will stand in your divine power and you will fight for it because no one else will do it for you.
Yeah.
So you need to make a choice for yourself. The people who ask these questions, choose. Can someone grant you a right, or do you need to exercise it?
Yep. Yeah.
And therefore, back to that, if you understand that's the inherent nature of what a right is, then you will know what you need to do to protect it, right? So all Magna Carta is just a way that it can be proven that there was an agreement made between those who want to be in what we call government and the people. And in order for that to work, there has to be limits on what they're allowed to do. Yeah. And that's called the negative rights. So no loss, no harm, no breaching of the peace, and no fraud. You see the word no? No. None of those things are rights. That's why they're called negative rights. But legal rights, they are called positive rights because that's when you are granted a right. And if someone's granting you a right, they are your master. So we can't live free if someone's granting us our rights. So when you choose the 1901 Commonwealth of Australia Constitution, you are choosing your legal rights. They love it when you say, I'm claiming my legal rights, because you are saying I'm a good slave and I will do anything my master allows me to. That's what you say when you do that. But when you say negative rights, that's you being free, because in order to be free, there cannot be a loss, there cannot be a harm, there cannot be a breach of the peace, and there cannot be any fraud. Yeah. That's the only way our nervous system can relax enough for us to be in our natural free state. Freedom is just the absence of any violation to our dignity. That's all it is. Everything else you do that doesn't do that is freedom. So you cannot put limits on what that is. And there's only one agreement that exists that actually has that enshrined. There is no other one.
The Magna Carta. Yeah.
I got a plan. I got a plan.
I feel like right now I need to put that up there.
Can I? Sorry, you go, Guru.
I got a plan. Okay, Carl will back me up on this. Don't freak out here, people. This is not an ego thing, okay? This is just put it out there. So, numerous times, or a couple of times, and then once publicly, Bosey's had a bit of a joke with me about he reckons I make a pretty good Governor General. Okay, so that guy gets to make a lot of big decisions. Okay, so have we got the power in the Magna Carta to walk me down to the Governor General's place with 1 million people behind me, put me in as the Governor General and start tearing this place down?
What we actually have the power to do is first bring all the criminals to justice to stand in front of us. And once that's all sorted out, when we get rid of all them, then we can decide what we do next, right? The beauty of the Magna Carta is that we're not bound to it. Once we restore the rule of law, right, we can decide as a people how we want our system to run. Do we want to have a monarchy system? Maybe not. Maybe we want something else. But we need those heads that are going to do that level of thinking to explain it to everybody else, because not everyone is at that level. And once we explain it to everyone else, and we can work with that if we want, but it has to be some real deep thinking about how do we work forward with this. But until people's consciousness raises and they understand who they truly are and how they can actually be in charge of their own decisions, right? And that's through the jury. If that's not in place first, everything's going to go backwards real fast. There has to be that safety mechanism in place, right? Where there's no such thing as a police officer anymore. They are constables. A constable is someone who's enlightened, who understands natural law and the law of the land. And they are elected by the people of their community. They are not programmed in a private society that picks the dimmest people that exist on the planet and then shoves them in a 6-week program and programs the hell out of them so they'd be good order followers. That's not a constable. Yeah, that's the auditors. Slave, a Portuguese slave.
That's what they are. They're just auditors now. They're not.
So we need to change that entire structure first, because a constable is someone of honor that will only be there. They're not going to be armed to the teeth with flak jackets and tasers and pepper spray. And that's not a constable. That's
military.
Yeah. And that's what we've come to accept. You know, we just accept that now. That's going to go.
Yeah,
well,
that's going to go first.
How do we stop it? Let's stop it.
Because we need to raise people's consciousness first, right?
It's all about getting the people to stand up. It's all about getting the people.
If we get groups of people to organize in their communities and start acting, it'll grow, because what you're doing, right, is you're growing trust from those who stand in honor, and others soon will follow by example when they get that energy, when they see how that cohesive community activates. That will be like so infectious, you won't be able to stop it.
Yeah.
It's by example.
Yeah. Fitz, Deborah has brought up a couple of times in chat about don't take oaths. I think she's getting the oath confused with the oath that the Defence Forces take, amongst other things.
No.
The oath you take to Magna Carta is very different.
So basically, it's all it is like just a way to prove that you are intending to stand under the law that the people agree to live under. If you don't want to call it an oath, don't call it an oath. Call it whatever you like. It's just a statement of intention. That's all it is, because it needs to be able to be something you can prove. It can't be just something you say. It needs to be proven. So the way things get proven is there needs to be a hard copy of it, right? That's got some kind of stamp on it, like a mail receipt. That's how things get proven in a court of law. That's all it's about. It's what you can prove in the court of law. You know, not a fake court, a proper one. And that's why you take it for any reason. So if you want to call it something else, call it something else. It doesn't matter. The main thing is that you want to prove that you have an intention to stand under the law that the people agreed. So whatever term you want to give it, it's not important. It's your intention. Intention is everything. And then when you stand behind your intention, you stand in honor.
Yeah.
And that's all the court needs to see. Nothing else.
Yeah. Can I just
we innately have inside us. Sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
No, I can just say there's just one thing there, Fitz. The word understand, we've got to not use it because it means to stand under.
It does in a legalese system, but what we need to remember is that when you take the oath, then that breaks all the contracts that they've invented, because these words existed well before legalese was created. So what happened in 1215 when it was sealed? As soon as it was sealed in 1215, the Bar Association was invented. So their job was to unravel, because if you know the term legal, the word legal, the legal meaning of legal is the undoing of God's law. Correct. So the Bar Association was there to invert that which we know is true in our hearts and create a mind control program. So you don't have to worry about that too much, because we use the words that we got taught as a child through the dictionaries we read. That's the express meaning of the words we use. Yes, if you're standing in front of these crims right now, yes, you do have to be worried about what you say. But in an express way, when we speak to each other, we understand the words to mean something different, right? We don't. That's
what I sort of meant. Like I sort of feel getting out of the habit of doing that will stop you from accidentally giving a verbal contract.
Yeah, I get that. That's why people are doing it. Yeah, when they use the word comprehend and they use the word understand, and I understand exactly why they're doing it. And for that purpose, if that means you've got to coach yourself into it just by speaking that way all the time, then yeah, for sure, go for it. I have no problem with that.
That was more along the lines of that. Yeah. So there was something. Can I just go into something? We're talking about. We had a bit of a chat about the family law courts and about what they're doing with the children, all the fathers and mothers who have been committing suicide because they're losing their kids, and there's a lot of things going on. It has been for a long time with that. I fought for my daughter for 2 years in court, and she ended up getting put back with her drug addicted mother and drug dealing stepfather. You know, and I've heard some horrific stuff since she's come to live with me about what happened during that time. I've listened to a few of the common law groups, and they're all going a really long way around it. By the way I can see, the way they're putting it together is just the total long way around. And I have a few friends in Victoria, and they're very, very clever. Like, they're right up to speed with a lot of this stuff, and they've shut courtrooms down. They do it all the time. It's fun for them. And also, they know how to go straight through, punch straight through, rather than go around the long way when it comes to these sort of things. So I had a little bit of information. So if anyone at home is listening and they're going through any of these court battles for their kids or whatnot, first of all, I'd ask if you're feeling very down to, get in contact with someone in your family or your friend, because it's not the end of the world, and we can sort it out. There's ways of sorting this out. And I advise most people not to use spite when they break up with their partners, to run to the authorities, to go through these systems, because these systems will not help you. They definitely will not help you. They don't care about the situation at hand. They have a protocol to follow, and they just destroy families through it. So one of my friends has beat the court just recently with this, and how he went about this, and this is really important, is he got an affidavit of truth. You'd be familiar with this, Fitz? You there, Fitz?
Sorry, I took my mic off because I didn't want to interfere.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, but I did hear you. Yes, I'm familiar.
Yeah, I was just saying, you'd be very, very familiar with an affidavit of truth, right?
Yeah, look, affidavits still are a legal term, so I understand you've got to use the legal system right now to beat the legal system. But yes,
that's what I'm doing, sort of basically for right now till we can establish the other, because these are really these are emergencies. Some of these situations, these people are going to lose.
I'm all for whatever you got to do in the moment. I'm all for it. I'll never stand in the way of that.
Yeah. So just for that reason, because it's going to be a little bit hard to get the other up and rolling, especially when there's kids involved. You just got to beat them at the end of the day.
And this is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring the two camps together, because we haven't really discussed yet, but Magna Carta 1215 essentially doesn't beat the system. It doesn't just beat the system. It kills the bastards who put you in front of the system. It makes them responsible for their actions. Whereas 1297 doesn't. It's had all those those 4 particular articles that gave the people the freedom to control government. They were taken from us then. So I think there is a path forward for both camps here. And as I've always said, the solution is going to come from all the different camps. It's not just someone's going to say, here is my solution, and it's going to be the solution for everyone. It's not going to be. Whatever comes is going to have to be born out of all of this. And this is what Voice of Freedom and our Magna Carta Learning Centre is working towards. And we're working towards something in October, which is pretty exciting. We're going to bring a whole heap of people together and discuss this around a table in person. We will stream that, and
Yep.
they're going to be some very serious people sitting at that table. So
Yep.
hopefully we'll be able to bring things together. Guys, I want to move on because we've been going 40 minutes just on this topic, and it wasn't the only thing we wanted to talk about tonight. I did see a lot of people asking if or what we can do about it. So I want to play something that I got this afternoon, and I'm a bit intrigued as to who and how and where this. Well, I know where it came from, but I'm a bit intrigued as to the timing of its release and what it may mean, because we've all been talking about August being a big month. The 8th was meant to be a big month. Then there was meant to be something happening on the 18th. We've been waiting patiently. There have been things happening in the US today. There are certainly some interesting new videos that have popped up. And, well, let me just play this one. You might, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier or while we were off the air. Has anybody heard of Ripcord? So have a look at this.
This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. Unleashing a barrage of false claims of fraud and corruption.
Why is it always conservatives who seem to get censored?
All right, Greg, what do you want to do?
Release it all. The video, the data, all of it. Make it all public. The world needs to see this.
Okay, well, we've already built a plan.
And I knew you would. So how long is it going to take?
Give me a few weeks. I'm leaving right now. Wait for my mark.
Then we will pull the ripcord.
So, can I tell you what Ripcord is? I believe Ripcord is the code to trigger all of the US constitutional sheriffs to move in and start the arrests.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
So, I think that that's likely to happen in the next 10 days.
Yep.
That's my pick, at any rate.
Yep.
So I think that's fairly significant for people who have been wondering about what's going on in the world. There are some very interesting new videos popping up all over the place. And I think, we're going to see something in the next couple of weeks that people are going to get quite shocked by. The truth will out there. Now, Glenn, let's move on to a little bit of, interesting intel, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go into some pretty cool pictures of the ocean, Carl.
Yeah.
Let's show some people what we've discovered on the bottom of the ocean.
All right. So just sharing our wonderful little picture here around the Earth. Here is a beautiful little look here of Australia. Where would we like to start, east or west?
Let's go down near Wollongong. Let's have a look around Wollongong in the ocean there. Let's see what we can see.
Guru's a pretty cool sort of
Guru,
a
I
fella
know
down
what's
there.
going on
So
here. Yeah.
here's Wollongong here, folks.
Yeah, there I am.
Yeah.
That's me.
Let's
That'll
go
be
out
you
to the ocean.
situated down there in the harbour there, will it?
Yeah, I'm just up north a bit more. Yeah.
Right? Up
Up there, right? That next blue, come down to the other blue dot.
down there.
Yeah, that one there. That's me. That's
Oh,
my little
right.
harbour right there.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Oh, there he is.
There you go.
Ah.
Sorry, we've just ID'd you all over the world. That's no fun.
I'm sure ASIO's already done it.
Well, by the way they're parking their hot rods out the front, I'm pretty confident they've got a good idea. So we'll just zoom in here a bit, shall we?
Yeah,
Now,
let's go in there.
What we're looking at here. Don't tell me we've gone and lost our. Oh no, here we are.
Yeah, further out, Carl. Out past the rock shelf, mate. Out past the
So this is
drop-off.
the continental shelf. So from Shell Harbour out to the end of the continental shelf is about 100 kilometres, right?
That's correct.
So there you go. That's measurement number 1. Remember that. What are these strange scratching marks here that we're seeing coming down the face? And this is obviously a huge drop off. This is well, I don't know if that's the right way of measuring it. I don't think it's 46-kilometre deep drop-off, but who knows? Probably the fishermen. Dave, you'd know how big the continental shelf drop-off is, I'm sure.
I've only dived to about I wouldn't have a clue.
I'm not too
All
sure
right.
myself.
So okay, we'll agree that there is a drop-off. This here is the shallow part.
It doesn't affect me how deep it is, Carl. It affects me how shallow it is.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the shallow part stretches for 30 or 40 k's offshore, and then it proceeds to drop off pretty steadily.
Yep.
But out here, there are all sorts of straight lines. And the thing I wonder about, folks, is there are no straight lines in nature.
No, there aren't. There's nothing straight in nature. Have a go.
Let's just look here from the tip of Victoria.
Yep.
And out to this wide track in here, right? I'm going to zoom in here.
There we go.
Now, this is all triangular. There are lots of triangular or pyramidal. Is that pyramidical? I don't know how you say it. But the thing I'm really interested in is this, for the want of a better term, ploughed area. That is a very consistent 12.6 kilometres wide. And it goes all the way, it disappears down here under the continental shelf. But if you draw a straight line from there, it continues to go down under the bottom of Tasmania, right through Launceston, if you like, maybe, or Hobart.
Correct.
And let me roll that up a bit.
And then
down here into what seems to be something of a complex.
Lots of complexes. There's a few there if you go in close.
Yeah, well, let's go in close.
Let's go in close.
So, look at these lines here. Look at these straight lines. Now, look at the distance of these things. That's 22 kilometres wide. These little tunnels here are over a kilometre wide. That there, not quite. So
half a K. Let's say half a K wide.
To wide. From widest to widest, I would say that's a K. But in narrow points, you would say half a K. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's still half a kilometre wide.
And then we go along there. Yep.
You just follow them, and it seems to come to this phenomenal complex, which, well, has a number of straight lines running north, south, east, and west through it. Weird as. Look where these tunnels coming from the north, if that's in fact what they are, from south of Perth. Yep. So they're coming all off. And if you look, there is a similar track. That same wide track is everywhere. They are thick, big, well, whatever the hell they are. And just look at the weird patterns in them.
It's definitely different.
Well, it's almost like a tracked vehicle, isn't it?
It looks like that. It does. If you just go off Perth now, Carl, show everybody who's watching just off Perth, you'll see what joins up to Perth. This will explain a lot of the earthquakes under the ground near Perth, 10 kilometres deep.
So you can see all of these tracks coming in here.
That's right.
Now, Swanbourne, the army base, is north of Perth from memory. I want to say that it's somewhere south of Moore Park, somewhere around there. But I don't know Perth very well. Once again, though, have a look at where all these lines are coming in. Another great straight long track that, obviously hit something hard here because it had to bend.
Yeah.
Some of them actually seem, and okay, here's the question: could these be communication cables?
A kilometre wide.
A kilometre wide. No.
That's
not
a big
likely.
communication cable.
But some of these things don't seem to lead anywhere. I mean, this is scarring here. Could these just be artifacts we're seeing from the? Although they all seem to be the same width, you know.
They're all the same, and have a look. They've got like a diagonal sort of line to them as you look along them. They're sort of all got the same pattern.
I got a theory. Okay, so we know the Titans existed, right? And they helped build a lot of these old structures and that. So maybe they had their little wheelbarrows with them that they had to cart the stones in. And when the Titans were, and they just dragged their wheelbarrows. See?
Never would have thought of that, Guru.
So some of the things that I'm finding interesting are around Antarctica.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay? You look at some of these.
Go in there closer there, Carl. You had a few little pyramids in there when you went in close. Right there. Yep. Go up a bit. See there? There we go. There's a pyramid shape or a triangle sort of shape there.
Yep.
Branches off.
And these are, if you look at these sort of tracks that are coming down in, it's like they go underneath the shallow part of the shelf. Like this is the continental shelf again, for the want of a better term, or the Antarctic shelf. And these lines go in underneath. Now we know that there are bases that they just pop up under the landmass inside of that are that are
massive caverns. There's caverns.
And this is sort of on some of those tracts. There's not much of Antarctica. In fact, Google is banned from, or satellite services are banned from taking images of Antarctica.
That's right. You can't take the center section of it. No,
can't know anything about it.
So nothing to hide there, folks. Yeah, just Google blocks it out, but there's nothing to hide.
No, but they didn't. They didn't get rid of the lines.
How far this thing went north. So this particular
and where it takes the turn, Carl, it takes the turn to go like this, and then bang, and it takes another straight line. You know what I mean?
That's
all
right.
the way. I was looking at this the
straight
other day.
Up, straight up, and then it gets up here off Fraser Island. Right, it's still going in a straight line. Still keeps going straight out. You'll notice that everything to the left here doesn't have any of these sorts of lines in it. That's all the Great Barrier Reef. So it's all much shallower. And we seem to be noticing that they either go deep under that or just steer well clear of it. But under is probably where they're going.
Deep under that.
You can just see this whole thing just keeps going north.
Oh, yeah.
Just keeps going. Here we are into New Guinea, running at the edge of New Guinea. And then this whole complex here in the Solomon Sea, okay, I'm prepared to believe that's pretty volcanic because we are talking about the Ring of Fire.
But,
agreed. You know, there are too many straight lines in this for me to be brushing
too many
off.
straight lines and too many geometrical shapes and angles. It's just it's way too much to be natural.
Certainly, people who are interested in what's going on around Queensland here, I would ask you to have a look here.
That's a good one there.
The one off Gary too, Glenn. That one off Gary's good.
Yeah, Gary's good.
Where's Gary?
Gary's further down the Royal National Park.
Okay. So this here, folks, this sort of little area here, directly off Caloundra. And it's how far? A couple of 100 Ks. Oh no, 100 Ks, yeah.
Can you zoom right into that, Carl, so you can get a good vision of it? That's
about as good as it gets.
Right. Okay. You see the strange shapes inside of it as well.
Yeah.
Almost looks like something's been written in some other language in the top of it or something. It's crazy.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
I saw something like that earlier down here. Now, where did I see that? Somewhere down here from memory. It looked like there was words. scratched into the surface. The other thing, this is an interesting complex here. I mean, it just looks like an underwater mountain.
Yeah, see the track running straight to it though.
Yeah, and look at the activity around it. It's all around it, and coming in from multiple areas. All of this has been sown. Sown is a hard word, but that's all been, I don't know, raked, whatever. It looks weird as. New Zealand is also interesting because some of it is come over, but they this is all going into the southern parts of New Zealand, the South Island, Stewart Island there. Now I know in Fiordland and I'm just trying to think what's the name of the joint? Port Cartwright? No, Port Chalmers, which is near Dunedin.
Yep, down the wetlands.
Yeah. Now that's the last or the most southern port. I'm just trying to find it. I'm probably see. I don't know New Zealand very well, so it's got to be around the back end here somewhere. Anyway, that area seems to be attracting a lot of attention too, with where these things end. The other ones seem to skirt, obviously, because of its rich volcanic history. They have to be careful around those, around the volcanic rim. I'm guessing because you go in here, there are very, very few lines that are extending into. Like there's one there, but that's really shooting across the top of the South Island and heading into the north. We're seeing a couple of little ones out on the eastern side of New Zealand.
Could this be magnetically arranged over, over millions of years? If the world's millions of years, I've just been the devil's advocate,
Well, we got to ask stupid questions. I actually wondered whether or not it's like those rocks that are in that desert in America that move mysteriously over time without anybody touching them.
Yeah, they walk. Yeah, they're classics.
Yeah.
I love that.
But we'd be talking about a rock that's 2 kilometers wide, being pushed by ocean currents.
Yeah, it's not happening.
I don't think that's.
It's not happening. No. It's either. I think it's either. I think it's the tunnels not too far into the sands of the oceans, so they may have done that.
Or the disturbance of it. If you're going to shift that much ground, even 10 kilometers down, it's quite likely to leave a mark on the surface. I would have thought.
Absolutely.
Sinking.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I don't know.
Well,
just
weird.
Adelaide.
If you think about it, boring under the ocean, like everything, because it's so waterlogged, all the soil, all the sand, it'll just keep on trying to cave in on itself. So they've probably used another method where they dropped the tunnels in and sealed them as they went, or something like that. I'm not sure, but
true. Yeah, quite possible. Just having a look at the back of Hawaii too, just to see. Okay.
Yeah, apparently these guys have got some pretty wicked boring technology. So, but is it tunnel? I don't know. It's very, we've looked at this before, and who knows what it is? I'm waiting for disclosure. But it's very strange. You can't have that many straight lines in nature. I agree. You know what I mean? Something had to,
Yep. Sharp angles, straight lines.
We also have to think of artifacting in the satellite imagery. So if it can't fill in the detail, it might fill it in with straight lines.
Is there any satellites? Are you actually flicking around a CGI and they drew the lines in there? Who even knows?
See, that's an area off the Gulf of the US, the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
See these areas here that look, almost farmed, right? I mean, that looks like somebody's plowed something in there, doesn't it?
It does look like that, but there also could be very strong currents in that area that's caused that as well. So that could be just the movement of the sand and currents. It could be just like big dunes under the ocean.
Can you
know what I
explain why there'd be diagonals like this big one going across
The
here?
diagonal ones I haven't got much of an explanation for.
Yeah. No. It's what we look to test, though. That's why we ask.
Yeah. And they look very, very straight, don't they? It almost looks like a laser print.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it?
It's like, and so what do we know that comes out of the Gulf? All right. Could this be dragging for prawns?
Yep. Pretty straight navigation, but
okay.
Yeah.
And long.
I
mean, that's 42 Ks there. I wouldn't have thought that's long if you were going to put pots or that sort of stuff. Well, pots aren't going to leave that sort of a mark, are they?
That could be DARPA.
It could be DARPA.
Could be DARPA.
I mean, I think that's what Port Phillip Bay in Melbourne used to look like before they stopped scalloping in the bay. Scallop fishing.
Yep. Okay.
Bottom dragon. That doesn't really account for, and it's such sharp edges. It's such a defined area, which makes me think artifacting. But then, it's just weird. It's
crazy.
It's following a certain depth by the look of it, because this looks like it drops off in depth again here. So it all seems to be at a certain depth. It's just, interesting stuff, hey?
Interesting. It is interesting, yeah. And as I said, we've been lied to. So we've been lied to all our lives. We got no idea what's going on. And, we've only, I think it's between 5 and 10% of the ocean's all we've ever explored. So who knows?
Yeah. Whole other world out there by the looks of it, that we didn't even know about.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Glenn. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, boys. I think it's been a bit of an interesting show. Let me just go and check out our comments, because I haven't been looking at them. It's hard to look at them while I'm talking. Will the Earth hemorrhage once all the oil is taken out of it? No, I don't think so.
No.
Net, that was a suggestion. Yes. Thank you, Tracy. We thought that too. Having a bit of a glance. Plenty of documents of tunnels running everywhere. I would agree with that one.
Agreed.
There you go. This is an interesting one. Could be magnetic forces combined with tectonic movements. The plates are always moving. I would agree. Do they always move in a straight line, Richard?
No, that's right. No.
That's why I come up with the magnetic bit, to keep
They're not straight, the tectonics.
Now, Marianne, because we are all gentlemen here, we will not burst into hysterics at your question. You won't find anything about ripcord on YouTube. In fact, the only thing you will find of any interest or entertainment on YouTube is the channel you are watching right now. Because at least here, we're going to tell you the truth, or at least our best interpretation of it. Ripcord can be found on... I'm not even sure if it's not on Patriot101's Telegram channel.
I can't remember if I posted that one yet. It
not,
will be on there. It will be on there tonight. It'll be on there tonight if it's not. Yeah.
And there is a good breakdown that follows that, explaining how the constitutional sheriffs work in America. And we can leave for another night the discussion about Donald Trump's executive order that places anybody, anything, any country under American rule if they are found to be guilty in participating in the fraud in the election. Those constitutional sheriffs could have much broader meaning.
I think so. I think you're onto something there, Carl. I think you
may
be onto something. Yep.
So, I think there's half a chance that there is something in that.
Within 10 days.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, we're sort of talking about in half circles here, folks, because we have to. on this platform anyway, don't we?
That's the hard part about it all. You just want to go, but you can't.
Yeah.
Give the full truth, but
What is
I
it?
think
Executive Order 13848?
I think someone in America owes a lot of tax, because I put this film on last night on my show about the tax department actually getting armed up, folks, and ready to come and shoot you for your $200 tax bill.
Yes, all right.
Yeah. So look out, it's coming. Look out.
Yeah.
They're IRS. It's coming after you. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
They are. I'm just going to go into a few questions that I had starred early one, and here's one that all about you and your girl, and I don't think they're talking about Mel Guru.
She's all wood, not all wood, but yeah, it's got a lot of wood in it. It's 78, so it's a Crowther, so it's built pretty solid, and then it's got a foam and fiberglass like hull section through it, Don. But yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, they are gorgeous. They got character. Yeah, they got character.
This is one for Fitz, I suppose. Magna Carta or any other law, except how does that help us fight BlackRock? What Mel K is saying at the top, controlling all the governments and all the worlds, BlackRock and Vanguard. I guess it all gets back to the more people that know about it, the more people that stand up, the more people that fight. Yep.
Yeah, basically, anyone can be brought before a jury of the people. So if you've committed a crime, that's harm, loss, breach of the peace, and being a source of fraud, the people will bring you in front of them to answer for it. And then they're going to judge you out of conscience. So did you act out of conscience? If you did, you're guilty. It's that simple. Did you have a motive to harm somebody? Was it premeditated? That's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
If they can establish that, you're guilty. It's real simple.
Yeah.
And then they get to decide the sentence. So that's where our true power is. So then no one gets out of this alive who's committed a crime. It's that simple. And it's retroactive. Like if it happened 100 years ago and you've got bloodline families that are connected to it, that have been profiting from it since, guess where the freaking compensation's coming from?
Yeah.
Them.
Who's going to arrest them?
On top of that, let me say one more thing. It actually obliterates the national debt. It goes away. So there's so much here for the people to get. Like,
so
it's
pretty much
how little they know.
Pretty much, it follows the line of Gassara. Then, as we're saying,
not so much in that sense, because I don't even know what that is, to be honest. But it's more about that if there's been a crime committed, right, we the people take back our assets because we're the ones that did all the labor, that their wealth they accrued from.
Asset.
So we're just restoring that which we it's our labor. We did it. You know, they harnessed it and harvested it, right? So we're just returning it back to its rightful owners, and we just come up with a distribution mechanism by which makes it equitable, right? And we have that capacity to do that because the Canberra Kitchen was proof of that. Yeah. That was a self-organized community.
Cool.
That's the one thing that got missed in the whole Canberra scenario, is that people were able to organize themselves without any argument.
We didn't miss it.
That's a really, really important thing that needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
That showed what we are truly capable of, and that really needs to be shown for its true capacity of what we are capable of when we come together, when we're giving from the heart. And that's our true nature.
We saw that again in Lismore after the first and second round of floods, before the government kicked we the people out. And,
I got heaps of video. Behind the scenes at Canberra of all the kitchens and everything like that. Fitz, I've been looking at it lately. You know, I took. We
need to get that up and show people who they really are and what they're capable
I got
of.
cracking footage.
We've got to get that back up.
So I think we covered who's going to arrest them. We need to rise up as a group of people. We have talked about U.S. constitutional sheriffs. And we've winked at each other a lot. We'll let you put those 2 and 3 together and see what happens after that. Did we not try Magna Carta route when we lost our fast guns? I assume they're talking about semi-automatic weapons in the buyback or takedown that John Howard instigated after Port Arthur. So the short answer to that, I think, Corrupted Gov, is no, we did not.
No, absolutely not.
There was no Magna Carta use in that at all. Fitz, how do you get followed on Telegram? or YouTube? Well, you follow him on YouTube at None2K or any of the channels that we're on here. Anything Magna Carta Learning Center is Fitz.
Yeah, there's also a Telegram channel. I don't know if you can just search it. It's MC, so the letters M and C, then 1215 all together, and then network, then chat, and then the letters AU. So if you can find that, that's the Telegram channel that's specific to this level of learning, and you'll get the support and resort.
Between the words and
yes, please. So MC 1215 is one, then the space, network, then space, chat, then space, then AU. And so the resources that you require are all there. Some people have been saying they've not been able to get on there by just typing it in. So I'm not really sure how that's happening, because obviously I'm the admin on this, so I don't know how I can tell you if it is or isn't. But I'm hearing people saying that they're struggling to get on. So if you are struggling to get on, maybe you can email Carl and we'll try and get a link to you.
Yep, we'll figure that out. Now, why can't we put them under perjury or penalty of perjury? Because we would be working in their system. Perjury is their system, not ours. So,
well, the thing is that we can, but it requires the people to come together to do it. So we actually can do it, but we're people just don't have the organised understanding to actually enact it. So it's all just a matter of the people to coming together as an organised force, because what we got now is an organised force, but it's an organised force of criminals. So we just need an equal and opposite, if not greater force of organised people of honour. That's all we're waiting for. So I think you jump in. You can come and jump in.
And I think you can still use their system against them, because they're caught in the lie now. You see, so it's a matter of
I agree in an initial sense, but then there has to be a plan for after what happens after that.
Yeah, that's right. You need to catch net after it all happens. That's right. Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. No one ever mentions Adelaide. There's a very good reason for that.
I went through all the capital cities and I left out Adelaide.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because that's probably because it's about the most evil place in Australia outside of maybe Melbourne. But a lot of that evil doesn't live underground; it lives on the streets. So, the city of churches. You've got to remember that these evil bastards love opposites. So, when you go and have a look at the beautiful city of churches, think of the opposite.
City of Gothic buildings. You could say
exactly right.
Yeah. City of Gothic buildings.
I love Adelaide. Lived there for 4 years. Beautiful city, absolutely beautiful city. But I remember leaning on a balcony of a pub one Friday night, gazing down onto the streets below and the beautiful parklands lit up at night. I may have had one or two. And I remember thinking, what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. It wasn't long. I hadn't moved there, very long. And I looked down and the black bitumen on the road seemed to be moving. I know Adelaide was known for a few other things in its day too, but I'd only had Scotch, and the first thought that came to my mind was, it's a beautiful bit on top, but you don't have to scratch very far to get to the black seething mass of evil that's underneath it. Yeah. And people who live in Adelaide might think I'm speaking very strongly, but go back and have a look at what you've been digging up out of your hills. Go back and have a look at some of the family murders that have been committed in Adelaide. Go and have a look at some of the evidence of the family in Adelaide. It doesn't matter who you are, you're not safe. There's a newsreader whose son disappeared, got murdered, got caught into all of that as well. Adelaide has a dark little centre to it. So if nobody mentions Adelaide, that might be why they're a bit scared of it. Interesting idea here. Absolutely dream if we think any politician's going to help, because it would mean losing the lot for them. Absolutely right. It certainly would. However, Malcolm does stand up as the kind of bloke who might throw himself on the sword, and the people might re-elect him for throwing himself on the sword if he did that for the people. What
are they losing? Their position in the cartel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are they losing? There's nothing to lose.
I think we covered that one before. I think we've covered that one before. Politicians only concerned with the next election. A statesman is concerned with the next generation. How do we elect statesmen, gentlemen? Is that what A1 are trying to do, do you think? Are they organised enough to get one person to stand in Victoria at the Victorian election, or hopefully maybe 20? I don't know how many seats there are, but it'd be great to have somebody stand in every seat.
Yep.
Statesmen. How do we get statesmen to stand and run?
Well, it's a referendum, isn't it?
Well,
It's up to the people.
It's up to the people.
Yeah, but it's you need the people to drive it, and that's what this question is. We're not electing politicians. We need to elect statesmen who will work towards the next generation, not just the next election cycle. So they're the kind of people that we need to have standing up, and I think that's a very fair and important point that Chu raises. We are good at electing politicians. We are not good at identifying statesmen, or when we do identify a statesman, the media and the party politic tears that statesman down.
Correct.
One might suggest Ricardo Bosi is that statesman.
Correct.
Would that be a fair take on that? I think so.
I'd agree.
Okay, Deborah. She's full of questions. Deborah. She's obviously got her 1297 hat fairly screwed tight. How does Magna Carta come to play, considering it was signed under duress? I think you'll go back to lesson number 1 there, Deborah. Lesson number 1, Magna Carta Learning Centre.
I know Deborah actually from my Facebook. She knows who I am too. So.
Right.
Hello, Deborah.
If that's all right, I'd love to jump on this one because it's one of my favorites.
Oh, you go for it, mate.
You guys okay if I do it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Deborah, under duress is if you are being assaulted or violated, right? That's when it works. But if you are the violator, because the king was the violator, he was the one that was committing the crimes, you can't use that as a defense. Because then if you could use that as a defense, that means no criminal will ever go to court ever.
Yeah.
Because they will say, well, I'm not here under my own volition. I'm here because I was forced to come here.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what you're saying. If you believe that's true, right? The king was committing crimes. He was acting outside of his grant of authority. All his job was to hold the trust, so the people's sovereignty and their assets in trust until the next so-called monarch was meant to be elected, come along. That's it. That's the feudal protocol they had in place. And he was bound to his peers, and the peers were the actual barons at the time. Now, baron just means free men who were free. That's all it means, and that's all of us. But they had a feudal protocol in place where those barons had land, and they had people working that land. So the barons were responsible to the people as much as the people were responsible to the barons. So they had a reciprocal relationship. And the king was going at the people, and the barons said, we can't keep having this, right? So they brought the king to heel by taking London. And then they showed him they were serious because they've got their own armies, right? And they're like, mate, you got to pull your head in because we judged you as committing crimes. So you want to keep your job? Well, now the traditions and customs of this land, we're going to now make sure that they are now actually codified, that it's no longer just hearsay. It's actually codified. And that means every single monarch that comes after you is bound to this same agreement. And the only people that can change it is the people, because you are elected into service. You don't get to change your own job contract.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's do it.
So all those people who think the 1297 is valid, they're agreeing that the government can change their own job contract. They are our employees.
Yeah.
We are its employer.
Yeah.
All right, Fitz, another good one. Where is it written that treason is punishable by death? Certainly nowhere in the current legal
that's right.
Is it
it's in the Treason Act. I think it's the 1571 Treason Act because there was a lawful monarch in place. So how it works is that the monarch's role is to grant assent or dissent to legislation. And the only reason they would grant assent or dissent is if they grant assent, it's going to enhance the people's protection and their quality of life. If they can see it's going to be a source of harm, then they give it what's called dissent, which means non-consent, right? And so the Parliament came up with the 1571 Treason Act, and the correct monarch, the one that was lawfully in place, granted assent to it. And because it was not a source of harm for anyone, that remained what they call law. So governments have a way to enact things from legislation into law if the monarch passes it and it's not a source of harm to anyone. Then that's the structure. And so that resides inside there. And because you can't repeal anything, if you're a lawful monarch, you would never repeal the People's Protection. All those Roman, the ones that were, I guess, slaves of Rome, they are the ones that tried to make all the changes, which is the 1688 Bill of Rights, but that's a thing for another day. And just think of the word bill, guys. What is a bill?
A bill is something. Yeah, it's a bill. You're getting given a bill. You got to pay it.
So how can you have a Bill of Rights?
You can't have a Bill of Rights.
Biggest con running in this country, guys.
Contradicts itself, doesn't it?
Yeah. And see, people, they hear the word rights and they don't think about the word that preceded it. And that's how it's done.
And that's why everything's called an act, because they're all actors.
Exactly. You nailed it.
Just
a question that came up. Heather says, how can I contact Fitz? You can send an email to Carl and then Carl will pass it to me and then I'll contact you. So if you can get onto Carl's email, is it? Do you guys know it? I forgot off the top of my head.
Now, if you're gonna make me your pimp, the least you can do is remember my email address.
I know that's terrible, isn't it? Voice of Freedom HQ. Sorry, brain cramp.
That's all right.
Too much information coming at once. Couldn't handle it. Overload.
Voice of Freedom HQ at gmail.com. And if you would like a T-shirt, we have some T-shirts. And if you would like a Magna Carta T-shirt, then that is the night that you will find on your Magna Carta T-shirt.
We're also running a competition to name the night, guys. So, boys, feel free to throw in your entries.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right. Cool.
Naming some nights, but we do have a very good suggestion that is a sort of a group name for us all, if you like. Knights of Terra Australis, I think, is leading the pack at this point.
That's great. That's a good one. That one.
Yeah. So I think Jennifer came up with that one. That's pretty cool. But that isn't an individual name for our night.
Yeah.
But thank you to everybody who suggested Bruce, Trevor, Craig. I don't think those ones are going to come through somehow, but thank you.
Oh, come on. You can't go past Trevor.
No, I thought Trevor was pretty good too.
I'm waiting for Terry. Where's Terry going to get in there?
Yeah. Government bringing new laws in first. They're calling extremist laws against protesters. What are your thoughts about that? Well, if they're going to bring in extremist laws against us, then we're going to protest extremely.
Yeah, well, they're not laws. Number one, they're not laws to start with. It's just all another act, isn't it?
That's exactly right.
Yep.
All bullshit.
It's all crap.
Government can't create laws. They can't do
that's
that.
Right. No. It's all rubbish.
Somebody,
what I did want to say
wants to know what happened in 2001. 23rd of March 2001, Article 61 was invoked. I hope that.
So basically, the whole monarchy structure, because if the whole monarchy was a furphy, right, they wouldn't be pushing it still to this day, right? So why would they be pushing it on the people that we still have a monarchy structure? So in 2001, the protocols were that if the monarch at the time wasn't protecting the people's sovereignty, they had 40 days to rectify it. So they were given a petition by their peers, which are the barons, or some of the guys that are in the House of Lords. And in those 40 days, if that wasn't rectified, then they could be thrown out of their job, right? So, because it's just a job, it's an office, it's just a job like an office of any other office. They're just the highest public servant of the land, of the entire Commonwealth. And so they failed. On the 39th day, they wrote back through their private secretary. Now, if the 1215 Magna Carta wasn't in play, they never would have written back, right? And that got published in the paper the day afterwards, right? Because they have to publish this stuff. That's the way the system is. Now, if none of that was in play, they never would have, the Queen never would have written back, and then it never would have been published what the barons did. They just wouldn't.
Is that gazetted? Is that gazetted?
Yeah, that's the way they did it, right? So that's all evidence. You can find all that. And so then she lost her job, but because they're all criminals, they hid it from everyone. So what's meant to happen is that once the head of state is deposed, then all the governments that she runs have to dissolve. So these guys that we've had in Parliament since 2001 across the Commonwealth, not just here in Australia, but across the Commonwealth, are all criminal imposters masquerading. So not only are they a corporation, They're actually masquerading as if they'd never had any authority since 2001. Now, what we've got to understand is in 1999, everything got switched over to a corporation. So they had already been prepping this beforehand. And that's actually all connected, because in the UK, they had their own version of treason going on, which was the Blair government signing over British Parliament and British sovereignty to the EU. That's what triggered the whole invocation of Article 61. So it's all connected. And because they were cooking that up in 1999.
Yep, that's agreed. Yeah, bloody good, aren't they?
So that's why we use the lawful constitution, because the Queen actually admitted it by writing back and giving a wet lettuce leaf response, saying that she takes the advice of the government like the government is her master. No, that's not what the people agreed to. We never agreed to have the government being the master. No. We agreed to that the head of state is the monarch, and they take a coronation oath, which is their job contract, to actually protect the laws of God. And the laws of God can actually be condensed down to those 4 tenets we spoke about earlier. Every single one of those 10 commandments actually can be condensed down to those 4. And that's their job. It's just to make sure there's no harm coming to anyone, and there is an enhancement of the people's lives.
Well,
that's
legalese blew that out. Legalese blew that out of the water, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we use it, because they showed us it's in existence by actually writing back.
Yep. Well, they did a mighty job of fooling people for a long time, didn't they? It's all over now.
Yeah.
Exactly. It just requires the people to come together and use it. That's all. If you don't use it, you lose it. So we just need to use it. That's all we need to do.
Just 2 last questions, Fitz. I know I'm giving this one to you because I know you'll enjoy answering this one. Is the postmaster the top dog?
If you want to be owned by someone who's not you, then yes, absolutely. But again, a postmaster is an elected position, right? You can't just have someone self-electing themselves into that position. It's an elected. Everything is about elected. The monarch is meant to be elected. They're not meant to hand the job down to anybody. There's no such thing. It's an office just like every other. So this whole, heirs and successors, that's a fantasy, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you hand your job down to your heir and successor, you have abdicated your responsibility to the people. No one gets to hand their job down to anybody. Who else gets to do that? So why do they? We've been fooled so deeply. They've been running this psyop so well. None of us know up from down anymore.
Yeah. So true. 100% true. So sadly. All right, last one is for me, which I suppose is really for us. Do we have a ripcord in Australia, Carl? Well, that's what we were saying before. We don't have constitutional sheriffs in Australia under the current system that we're aware of.
Yet.
Let's just leave it at that, shall we? But apparently there are thousands of them in America. Thousands of them. And they operate outside of the, the
Jesuit system, you could say.
Carl's frozen up.
I think Carl's frozen,
Yeah. I think he was going to say outside of that Jesuit system.
Anyway. Yeah, Carl's gone. I think he was, I don't know, was he finishing it up?
Yeah, I reckon he was wrapping it up, guys. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
he was saying this is the last question.
All right. Well, do we wrap it up for him or what?
Yeah, but I don't know who's got the off button.
Yeah, that's all right. He's got it. But yeah, we can just leave him here on his own, guys. Get one back.
Yes.
We'll just drop out and just leave him here. Look, he's gone anyway.
He's gone altogether.
Yeah.
Is he all right?
It'll be like when he closes his eyes and turns around and no one's there.
And I'm not in the studio that way. I'm in as a guest. I'm not in as a
And we're losing you too.
We can all run around and run away when he turns around. There's no one there.
Yeah, Guru's dropped out too. He's gone.
Oh, it's just you and me now. How about that?
Yeah.
Or I wonder if he pulled the pin on himself.
He must have done.
It's like he's actually going to back his words and do it.
Well, we'll sign off then. Hey, Fitz.
Yeah,
for
we
the
can
show.
do that. I'm not sure how we actually end the stream because I don't have the button for that.
No, yeah, well, we can't end the stream, but we can just log out. And we'd like to thank everybody that's been watching tonight and all the questions that have come forward. Keep firing questions keep firing questions. Like and subscribe. Voice of Freedom. Follow my channel, Patriot101. I'll keep you up to speed on all the daily things that happen around the world, all the real truths. So I'd love to see you all get on board with us and start to do your own research and start to empower yourself, because we need to reform this country. Agreed, Fitz?
Yeah, agreed. I'm just quickly going through the comments of things that anyone's asking me that Carl hasn't. One question is, have I heard of Gene Decode? Yes, I have.
Yeah.
So he's pretty well known. So I'm just quickly taking a scroll that I don't leave anyone out before I say goodbye.
Yeah, Gene is very good. Gene's got a lot of intel, and he gets straight from a very good source. So Gene is absolutely authentic.
So yeah, just checking that there's nothing else that's in the chat that I've missed, because that's what usually Carl does. So just kind of doing a clean sweep. If anyone's got any questions for me, sorry guys, I'm just doing it really quickly, but I can't see anything at the moment. Glenn, there's one here for you. What's with all the air armed forces from over the globe in Oz right now? Any idea?
Yeah, this person must be following my channel. I've been posting a lot of things from my eye in the sky. There's a lot of military action happening. There was I believe, a German plane today, German troop carrier, landed up near Townsville, somewhere like that. Darwin, there's been a lot of action from Darwin to Tennant Creek. We've had planes from the US up there. We've had French planes, helicopters. There's been a lot of off Wollongong here. I saw 2 Navy choppers the other day cruising around. So there's something definitely happening up in the air. It's definitely crazy times. Things are about to unfold, I believe, from what I can see.
All right. Thanks, Glenn. I seems to just taken on Carl's role. Just
all right,
without even realizing it. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any questions left unanswered that are relevant to you and I. And I'm just dragging this out. Nothing here. Just a few complaints of Carl not answering his emails. It's not good to talk behind his back, so that's all I'll say about that.
I'll do that one. He's a very busy man, Carl. He's a very busy man. He will get to you. Just give him time.
So just let me see what else is there. Knights named Barons, Knights of God. Thank you for that, Heath. What else is there? Just trying to do this really quickly, guys, just to make sure I'm not missing too. You guys are too fast. There's more comments coming in faster than I can actually read them, guys. You guys are just right off the trigger.
I didn't even get mine up.
So nothing. No. Nope. Yep. So I'm happy to get going, guys. With the channel, I'm sorry. Like I said, if you can email Carl and you want the channel, you probably can get it that way. I don't know why you can't access it. Seems to be like it has to be an invite link. So I apologize about that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we might just go, guys. And if you're still going to be on this stream, it'll probably just be chatting to each other.
Well, God bless you all, and thanks a lot for hanging in there and listening to our show tonight. I hope we
appreciate everyone who's come on tonight and added in your comments and being part of the whole group experience. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the questions. And yeah, I'm hoping there was some value in it for everybody. And yeah, we will come back in some way or another. Let's come back in force. Let's work together. Let's use the law. The law prevents war. So hopefully we can do that as a team.
Absolutely. All right.
All right,
Fitz.
Good night,
all. Good night, buddy.
Good night, Glenn. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Mate. It's been a pleasure.
Right.
Yes.
Off.
Thank you. See you, buddy.
Well, folks, that's the end. It's been fun. I don't know. So a mobile phone turned off, the broadband turned off, everything just turned off, and it's taken that long to reboot. So apologies for the lack of fun at the end of the show. I hope the guys looked after you, and we'll see what we can arrange. Maybe try and cut out some of the crap and the missing bit at the end. Unfortunately, not much I can do about it at this stage going out live. I will end it here, though. Thank you very much for everyone. No, I wasn't off having a joint. I was madly trying to get bloody mobile phones or internet or whatever it was to connect. So, yeah, didn't want to play the game, unfortunately. So my apologies. Everything just decided to die. So, yes, I'm back. And now I'm leaving. That's how fun it is. If you want a shirt, folks, I have some of these shirts available, Voice of Freedom shirts. I've got them in black and a nice sort of a grey sort of a colour. I have them in extra large and 2XL, and I think I've got a 3XL floating around as well. And if you want that, either a Voice of Freedom shirt or a Magna Carta 1215 shirt, then just email me at voiceoffreedomhq at gmail.com, voiceoffreedomhq at gmail.com, and I'll put you on the list. We hopefully have a few more of everything later this week, early next week, and be able to start sending out orders. Thank you to everybody who's already placed one. There's quite a few folks who are very keen on getting a Magna Carta shirt, and quite a few who are going to get some Voice of Freedom ones too. So thank you very much for your support, and every one of them is going to go to help keeping us on the road. We've got some big stuff coming up. If you are interested in doing a little traveling and coming to a live show, Wollongara, now it's a little town about an hour south of Warwick on the Queensland-New South Wales border. And when I say on the border, I mean the border splits it. Now, Wollongara hasn't had a pub in quite a while, and the Wollongara pub is reopening on the 1st of September. It's a Thursday. Now, Kerry, the lovely lady who owns it, has owned it now for, quite a number of years. It's been closed for 9 years, and she's decided to reopen it. She's in her, I don't want to say how old she is, but she's not in her youngest years. And she's going to take it back on, reopen the pub, and it's going to be a huge night. So if you'd like to come along, there is rooms available. And at the pub, I think she said she's got 15 or 20 odd rooms there. So if you want to come. We're going to have a big night. It's the home of Billy Moore, Queenslander. Yeah, so if you're a State of Origin fan and a Maori fan, then we will have something a little special for that night too. Sarah, look, I reckon I can do better than a roof rack for you, Sarah. If you're that hard up, I reckon I can find a seat for you somewhere. We will get you there. There is plenty of room to camp too. In fact, around the pub, if you've got a caravan, and I think she said 300 metres down the road, there is a free Lions caravan park. So we're going to make a day of it, a big day and a big night of it at the Wollongara Hotel, the reopening of it on the 1st of September. Following that, down to New South Wales we go. Singleton. Look out, we're coming to the Galley. And we're not coming for one night, we're coming for a few. There is a big common law thing going to be happening at the Galley. It's going to be getting underway sort of at the end of the first week of September, and we'll go 3, 4 or 5 days. So if you have an interest in common law, and particularly being able to prosecute notices, you want to learn how to take the oath, then you might want to come along to Singleton. It's going to be a big few days. We will also be conducting that live online, so you'll be able to join in there too. It's going to be a very informative few days, I think, particularly for the people in Singleton who are suffering greatly at the hands of their council. This information will also be very relevant to folks in Townsville. I know Peter Newey has been waiting for me to give him a call back. He has some very interesting information about there that the council need to, we'll get on to what the council need to do, won't we? So Townsville's on the way. We'll be going to Cairns. I think there's stories about Mackay and Yeppoon, Rockhampton, as well. There are some opportunities in Sydney in September after we've done what we're doing in Singleton. I will come down to Sydney. I'll hopefully catch up with Ricardo. I've put a request in, but haven't heard a reply as of yet. So hopefully, if I get to Sydney, we'll do a face-to-face with Ricardo. I don't know if that'll be a live event or not. We'll have to catch up with Guru. He wants to show me his boat and Wollongong, so you can be sure there'll be a live down there. And Nowra, I know that there are a bunch of folks down that part of the world that are very keen for one too. So we'll be all doing all that in the first couple of weeks of September. So keep an ear out and grab yourself a T-shirt. That'll be the best way to make sure we know who you are when you come to the meeting. And we will arrange for you to catch up. Come along to one of the live shows. It's usually a bit of fun. We tend to go a lot longer off the air than we do on the air on those nights, but we have a lot of fun all the same. Pop into Stony Creek, the rest area. Yeah, I reckon we can probably pop into the Stony Creek rest area and say hi there, Heath. Always up for that. I'm just having a bit of a glance just to see if there are some questions. Carl, you need to get Guru on board with you and Fitz's show. The more that know, the better. Well, you know, Guru's audience knows how to find us. I'd just say that. Yeah. You know where we find us, on these channels. You'll find the Magna Carta Learning Centre on these channels. So if you're interested in learning, come here. Guru as yet hasn't, I think, watched lesson 1. So there's a bit of education that's required on that end yet before we can get on a same page with everything. Because as you could see tonight, Guru was raising valid questions, but he asks those questions in part ignorance because he hasn't done the study leading up to that. And some of those questions are very valid questions, but we need to do the study to understand the answer and the correct way of going forward. So I would welcome you to come and join us Monday night, 7:30. But go through the lessons 1 to 13 so far, because lesson number 14, we don't sort of go back and answer questions from lesson 1, 2, 3, 4. We move on. So it's your responsibility to do the lessons. That's why we record them and leave them online. Anyway, folks, have yourself a lovely night. Natalie Ann, yes, you are late. I don't know. Intel night at your house. Well, it was here too, and look what you missed. Anyway, I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow because that's when I'm going to call you, Nat. Anyway, I've said goodbye 3 times. I really mean it this time. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Once again, if you need to get in contact with me for anything or you want to get a T-shirt, the email address is very, very simple. It is voiceoffreedomhq@gmail.com. Have yourself a bloody brilliant weekend, folks. It's hopefully weather's going to be good where you are. It's not going to be too bad here. I will be on the roads a little bit. So remember, folks, plenty of dickheads out there on the roads. Please don't you be one of them.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!